Disclaimer: this series revolves around looking at media and figuring out if they are suitable for children. Regardless of the outcome, it has nothing to do with my opinion on the thing in question. This is less of a review and more like an investigation. Parents and guardians, you've been warned. And please take my information to heart before showing your children the content. Thank you, and enjoy this video. Laika is an animation company well known for their stop-motion movies, and while Coraline is their original masterpiece, I thought I'd take a look at their second attempt at cinema work, which I consider to be an underrated gem, ParaNorman. You may correct me if I'm wrong, but the title is probably a play-on word for paranoia and the title character's name, Norman. No matter what the reasoning behind the title's origins are, my real purpose is to take a deep dive into the film and determine if children would be allowed to see it, give or take supervision from adults. No tricks are being played on, because I am about to begin the analysis before the living dead get your brains. Hey, I'm Owen, the fiction fanboy, and welcome to another installment of Is This for Kids? ParaNorman. At the start of the movie, we see a zombie flick, and Norman is explaining to his grandmother what's going on in the film he's viewing, and after doing a few favors for his parents, Norman said he was watching Sex and Violence, leaving me wondering how he got access to that stuff. What was important to discuss, however, is that he must be normal, and his grandma is dead. But then we see Norman's uncle, Mr. Prendergast, looking at some photos of the hero, meaning something crucial's going to happen. We then learn that Norman can see and talk to the dead while many others can't. As shown here, Norman's supernatural gift makes him an outcast in school, and any friend of his also gets bullied. The main priority of school is rehearsing for a play revolving around the execution of a witch who was once in the town, and a certain vulgar word starting with D is used, and is said again later at the performance. What's important to the plot, though, is Norman having a vision of impending doom. Once school was over, Norman's uncle approached and told him the vision was a sign, yet no one took him seriously. Moving on from that, the boys play with a ghostly dog, and it appears Mr. P died, had a few more seconds of life, and then actually passed away. Now the play is happening, and unfortunately for Norman, another vision came to him, and as the only one who can see the dead, he ended up embarrassing himself in public, and his parents ground him, with the father especially upset and the mother explaining that he's not being mean, he's just worried. The next day, Norman is treated even poorer than before, and the recently deceased Mr. P has to pass down his curse to the title character. One joke about saying the F-bomb later, Norman promised to do the ritual before sunset. Following the event of refusing to play with his friend, Neil, Norman gets a visit from his dead grandma, and because he told her that his dad isn't allowed to talk to her anymore, she replies with the word, Jack A double S. I'd be mad at him too, but a vulgar mouth won't resolve the issue. Knowing he'd rather face his parents than the world's end, he snuck out. Alvin and his colleagues were listening to hip-hop, and Norman reached Mr. P's house, which is pretty dark, almost can't see anything. What's even harder was grabbing the book from the hands of a dead body, although he should be considered lucky, seeing he didn't get too squashed. Upon arriving at the grave of the curse's 7 victims, he saw that the book was a fairy tale collection. Before he could do anything more, Alvin came, and the sun went down. The wind had a face, it looked monstrous, and hands had emerged, waking the zombies from their tombstones. While Neil was freeze-framing his mother's aerobics DVD, Mitch, who just got out of the shower, answers the door, and it is Courtney, Norman's older sister. Mitch asks if he can help Courtney, and her response, H-E double hockey stick yeah. The H word will be said once more, and even if it's a place, kids shouldn't be saying that term. Anywho, Norman had to be retrieved, so they agreed to do that. While still surviving the zombies, Norman realized he'd read the story at the wrong place. During the drive, Mitch approached a zombie on the road and Norman and Alvin caught up with the gang. In the middle of the ride, a cop notices the insanity and Norman calls a classmate because he needed to ask her where the location of the witch's grave is. Turns out the witch was buried at the town hall, so that's the hero's destination. The gang is so far away they manage to lose the zombies, but now the town is frightened, and the zombies come across a billboard of the Magic Witch Casino. It was a no-brainer that children aren't welcomed at those places, yet what makes this particular casino concerning is that there are dollar bills in between the witch's big boobs. I'm speechless. Can't even process what my eyes have witnessed. Moving on. Once the youngsters reach the town hall building, they start searching and an angry mob increases in size, yearning to kill the zombies. The riot is closing in on town hall, and an argument occurs, separating Norman from the ones close to him for a bit. Making matters much worse is that the storm is getting larger, convincing Norman to try reasoning with it. Reading the story wasn't working, and the storm blasted the book, knocking Norman out in the process. When he wakes up, we see he's in a dream where the witch is a girl named Agatha Aggie Prendergast, and the council members were going to hang her until she dies, for they mistook her powers for witchcraft. Because of such cruelty, she cursed them, explaining why they are zombies. Tired of reading the story, Norman gave the book to the Undead Council so they can do the work. They can't, meaning Norman had to talk to Aggie face to face, and upon the zombies exiting the building, Norman informed the mob of what's really going on, with some support from Courtney, Alvin, Neil, and Mitch. Even though the mob has calmed down and knew what would happen if they continued their violent ways, the storm didn't. Since the parents have come to their senses, they aid Norman in finding Aggie, and the judge zombie is their guide. They got pretty close, yet Norman had to have his conversation with Aggie alone. Wasn't long before the two finally saw each other in person, and the protagonist first tried explaining how not so different they are. The moment that fails, he tells her the story from the book, causing Agatha to blow a gasket. Interaction continues in the spirit world, and it goes back and forth between wanting to shun one another, through reasoning or force. Eventually, Aggie stopped wanting to argue, and realized she'd remembered the bad people for so long, making her forget the good folk, and just because they were awful to her doesn't mean she should get them back. In fact, she had one person who treated her well, her mother. What's sad about that is she's no longer alive. However, Aggie understood how similar Norman and her were. Having jerks suffer will not solve their problems, though there are people who will have their backs. When the discussion has concluded, Aggie has gone away, the town is back to normal, the cursed council also leaves, and the family and friends of Norman congratulate him for his major accomplishment. Courtney hoped she'd hang with Mitch, and while he did accept her offer, he reveals he has a boyfriend, indicating he's gay. Norman has been acknowledged as the savior of the town, and he finishes the film off by watching a scary movie with his family, including his dead grandma. As far as the credits go, if the characters can get scared, so can the viewers, and the frights barely decrease when the names go up. At least seeing how Norman got created was impressive. And with that done, it's time to discuss the outcome. Alright, so, what did I get? The younglings could use a lesson on why bullying is bad, even if people have bullied them. They can learn how claymation characters get made, and there's the importance of acceptance and not being afraid. However, the older ones should be aware of the few instances of language. There are inappropriate jokes, and scares are to be expected. So, is ParaNorman for kids? My observation is maybe. No one below the age of 12 should watch this. and whereas they should have an adult looking out for them, teens should be fine by themselves. It may not quite be PG-13 worthy, yet at the same time, PG can be a bit of an underrating. That, ladies and gentlemen, concludes the Halloween edition of Is This for Kids? The haunts are far from over. Please like, subscribe, share, and turn on notifications for more sweet treats. Also, comment below and follow me on Instagram for petrifying teasers and thumbnail previews of impending YouTube videos. They ain't sour tricks. Hasta la vista, and best of luck sleeping tonight-o!